So earlier this month, the United States launched a drone attack on the Iranian general Qasem Soleimani. 5 days later, Iran retaliated by launching a missile strike on American bases in Iraq, where President Trump claimed that no troops were hurt. A couple days ago, the Air Force, I believe, came out with a statement saying that 11 American troops were injured. So a lot of Americans still have the questions of what caused all these tensions with Iran and what is the United States going to do next?
Well, the tensions with Iran go back 40 years to the Iranian Revolution and the hostage crisis that followed that, where Iranian militants took a number of American State Department officials hostage and held them for over a year. Really, diplomatic relations haven't resumed since then, but the most recent tensions really go back to 2018, when President Trump pulled out of the 2015 nuclear agreement with Iran and began to reimpose sanctions on the regime. Iran at that point began kind of a low-level campaign of basically just wreaking as much havoc as they could. Going after a handful of oil tankers, likely launching a missile strike on Saudi oil fields. And then in the last month or so, they've started to ramp up attacks on American troops and American positions within Iraq. You saw an attack by an Iranian-sponsored Iraqi militia on an American base. A contractor was killed. We responded by attacking that militia. Iran responded then by organizing protests and eventually a sort of an attack on the U.S. Embassy in Iraq. We responded at that point by killing General Soleimani, and then they responded with the attack on the American military base, which in a lot of ways was really kind of a drawdown of tensions, at least in the short run. We seemed to have pretty significant advance notice that that attack was coming. It sounds like the casualties were relatively light. I was seeing concussion and injuries, which would largely just be the result of hearing loss, things like that. And so for now, the Iranians seem to be relatively satisfied that they responded. Nothing really went to the point of an outright conflict between the two sides. But it remains to be seen what will happen next. This could have been a short-term response, and Iran could very easily be planning other things. They have support around the region from various militant groups, various proxies. An attack by Hezbollah from Lebanon, an attack from Houthis in Yemen, from half a dozen other groups could very well go back to Iran and could be part of a longer-term response. For the most part, though, it seems like Iran wants tensions to relax. Hopefully there's room for everyone to talk to each other. It seems to, at this point, I guess, be the Trump administration's goal, is to have this turn into negotiations over the future of their nuclear program, over the future of their behavior in the region, that kind of an idea.
All right.
So at the beginning, like when this first started at the beginning of the month, there were a lot of jokes about World War III happening. Do you think that could be possible?
It's always possible, but generally for something like that to take place, one of the two sides really, really, really needs to want to cause a larger conflict, and I don't think either one of us are there at this point. For all the worries about the Iranian regime, they generally functioned as rational actors. They have a particular plan in place in the Middle East. They've been carrying that out for a long time. A full-blown war with the U.S. doesn't do them any favors. And the fact that they responded in a very limited, very measured way towards the assassination kind of gives an indication that their interest was more in showing some hardliners at home what they are capable of, that they would respond. But I think deep down they know that they don't win a war with the U.S. And we don't necessarily, the Trump administration's been pretty clear about trying to get out of the Middle East pretty much from day one. And so I don't think there's any great incentive on our part to take things that much further either.
All right, that's all we have time for today. So thank you for coming and clarifying all this.
All right, absolutely. I'm happy to do so.
Thank you.